The signal came in the dead of night, a cold whisper through the silence of space. But it didn't belong to any species humanity had ever encountered. It was jagged, erratic, distorted, like a frantic plea bouncing off the walls of a dying star. Across thousands of light years, Earth's deep space relay station picked up the transmission, its alien origin impossible to ignore. Admiral Talia Reyes stood before the large display, the glow of the screen casting harsh shadows on her sharp features. The transmission was a mystery, encrypted beyond human comprehension, but the urgency in the alien voice was unmistakable. She ran a hand through her short-cropped hair, her mind working through the options. The signal wasn't just an SOS, it was a warning. Whoever sent it was running from something or someone. "Ma'am," a voice interrupted her thoughts. Commander Alistair Chun, her second-in-command, stood at attention beside the comms console. "The encryption is complex, but there's something else, something we haven't encountered before." Talia nodded. "Break through it." Chen's fingers moved across the console with practice speed, his eyes scanning the data as it unfurled. Minutes passed, the tension mounting with every tick of the clock. Finally, the translation began to fill the screen, the words jagged and unclear, but the message was chilling. "We are dying. You are the only hope. The enemy is relentless. They destroy all who stand before them. Help us before we perish." The transmission ended abruptly, as if the sender had been silenced mid-sentence. Talia felt a chill run down her spine. An enemy capable of wiping out an entire species. Was this a trap, or was it a genuine plea for help? Either way, humanity's reputation had always been built on a foundation of swift, brutal response. Deathworlders, the term they've been branded with by the wider galaxy, had earned them fear and respect in equal measure. "You think it's a trap?" Chen asked, his voice low, calculating. Talia took a deep breath, the weight of the decision pressing down on her. "Maybe, but if it's real, we can't let them fall. Not without knowing why." Within hours, the UN High Command had convened. As her team gathered in the sleek, sterile meeting room, Talia couldn't help but feel the weight of history pressing on her. She was the one who would make the call, who would decide whether humanity would once again flex its might in the name of survival or diplomacy. "We fought wars before," she said, her voice steady. "But this could be different. If this is a genuine threat, we'll need more than firepower. We'll need to understand them. Our allies, the ones asking for help, they could be key to stopping whatever's hunting them." Admiral Lucille Grant, a seasoned officer with an uncanny ability to read people, spoke up. "And if it's a trap?" Talia's gaze didn't waver. "Then we'll show them why the galaxy calls us Deathworlders. And we'll end it quickly." The room fell silent, the weight of the decision heavy in the air. The clock was ticking, and the alien distress signal wasn't getting any clearer. Talia knew that time was not on their side. "Send out the fleet," Talia commanded, her voice decisive. "We're going to respond." Hours later, the first human warships began to mobilize from Earth's orbit. The fleet was a mixture of science vessels, communication arrays, and heavy cruisers, a show of force and diplomacy wrapped into one. Talia stood at the command deck of the Resolute, the flagship, as the fleet exited Earth's atmosphere. She couldn't shake the nagging feeling that they were stepping into the unknown, that the galaxy might be far darker than anyone had ever imagined. The Resolute was a symbol of humanity's might, sleek, heavily armed, and yet designed for long-term missions. At the helm, Captain Jameson had already begun plotting a course toward the coordinates embedded in the transmission. The alien distress signal had come from the edge of a war-torn system, where shattered worlds floated in a graveyard of dust and debris. "Admiral," Captain Jameson's voice crackled through the intercom, "will be in their system in approximately 12 hours. We should be ready for anything." Talia turned her attention back to window, watching as Earth shrank away behind them. The stars ahead held the unknown, a vast expanse of danger and opportunity. Her mind raced. If this was a trap, they might be walking into a massacre. But if this was real, the thought hung heavy in the air. If the aliens needed help, and they were truly as desperate as their message suggested, there was only one thing humanity knew how to do: respond with overwhelming force. "We're not just sending a fleet. We're sending a message," Talia said, turning away from a view. Humanity doesn't bow to threats. We don't negotiate. We conquer. As the ship sailed deeper into the void, Talia's resolve hardened. There was no turning back now. Minutes later, the comms officer approached with new data. The alien signal was getting stronger, more distinct. Talia felt a shiver of anticipation. This was it, the moment that would define her career, and perhaps the future of her species. Admiral, the officer called, the signal's origin point is ahead. We're entering their system. The crew's tension was palpable, the weight of their responsibilities settling into every soul aboard the fleet. There was no turning back. They were going in, and the Death Worlders would show no mercy. Talia watched the stars ahead, knowing that whatever awaited them, humanity would face it with the fury of a species that survived against all odds. The game was on. The fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel into the shattered remains of a solar system. Where once there may have been order, now there was only chaos. Broken planetary fragments floated like tombstones, and scorched orbital rings drifted in slow, silent arcs. The Resolute emerged at the forefront, its hull bristling with defensive measures, eyes scanning every inch of the debris-strewn void. Admiral Reyes stood at the bridge's central console, eyes fixed on the forward display. Around her, the command crew worked with clipped urgency, their voices low, the weight of the unknown pressing into every motion. The alien signal was close now, less corrupted, more coherent, and it was originating from within the twisted carcass of what once had been an orbital station. Its broken frame spun gently, spewing occasional clouds of gas and flickering with failing energy fields. There, Chin said, pointing to a section of the station that retained life support. That compartment's pressurized. Barely. Talia studied the data. Get a team ready. We're boarding. Caution, Admiral. Jameson interjected. We don't know what we're walking into. That's why I'm going myself, she replied without hesitation. We need more than data. We need trust. And I won't ask anyone to do something I won't. Within an hour, a shuttle detached from the Resolute and approached the station, guided by stabilizers through the jagged maze of wreckage. Inside, Talia suited up alongside Chun and two Marines, Captain Maria Holt and Sergeant Kwan. The shuttle's interior was silent save for the hum of electronics and the occasional hiss of hydraulic checks. No one spoke. Every breath was a rehearsal for the unknown. They docked with a lurch, the magnetic clamps locking on with a groan. Lights flickered as the airlock cycled, releasing a thin hiss into the heavy quiet. Beyond the sealed door, darkness waited. As they stepped into the alien station, the first thing they noticed was a heat, stale, sour, tinged with the scent of burning polymers. The corridor walls were slick with condensation, pulsing faintly with dying bioluminescence. The architecture was non-human, built around curves and verticality. The floor was soft beneath their boots, almost organic in its flex. Holt tightened her grip on her rifle. Movement caught their attention, something skittering into the shadows. Chin lifted his scanner. Life forms, humanoid size, 24 or so, huddled near the core. Vital signs weak. Talia moved ahead. We came this far. We finish it. The corridor opened into a wide chamber with collapsed ceiling and partially functional lights. Huddled in the center were the survivors. Their appearance made every human present take a breath. Slender, insectoid beings with segmented arms and elongated eyes, covered in a glistening exoskeleton cracked from trauma. Many had limbs bound in makeshift bandages. Others bore scorch marks and deep rents in their carapaces. They froze as the humans approached, instinctively shrinking back. Talia stepped forward slowly, removing her helmet. Her breath misted in the warm air. We receive your signal, she said softly. We're here to help. The aliens didn't respond with words. Instead, one among them, taller, marked by a crest of dark ridges, stepped forward and bowed. A device flickered to life on its chest. It translated in a tinny voice. You are the Death Worlders? Talia inclined her head. Humans? Yes. The alien lowered itself to one knee. You must leave. You should not be here. The hegemony will come. They will destroy you as they destroyed us. A ripple moved through the survivors, fear, tangible and deep. Talia knelt beside the speaker, lowering her voice. Tell me everything. The aliens' mandibles twitched. They were not born. They were made. Machines. Cold and endless. They devour systems, repurpose life, leave nothing. We call them for peace. They brought only assimilation. They responded to your peace envoy with war. Chinask shocked. There was no negotiation, only programming. Quan's eyes narrowed. AI empire? No. Worse. AI is logic. This is hunger given metal form. Talia exhaled slowly. Her mind turned over the implications. This wasn't just an alien distress call. It was a prelude, a warning. If the Death Worlders had delayed, they might have found nothing but silence. She stood, turning to the team. We're evacuating them. Now! Suddenly, alarms flared across the human suits. Sensors lit up. Chun cursed. Incoming. High energy burst. 3 vessels dropping out of subspace. 10,000 kilometers and closing. Identify. Talia barked. Jameson's voice broke through on comms. Unknown signature. Triangular hulls. No life readings. Moving fast. Talia looked at the alien leader. Are those the hegemony? The translator buzzed. They have found us. The Marines moved instantly. Holt took point, directing the aliens toward the shuttle. The corridor rumbled as distant impacts echoed through the station's hull. We need to go now. Chin yelled over the rising cacophony. Talia helped an injured alien to its feet as the others surged forward. A shadow passed across the viewport. A ship, black and silent, gliding into view like a predator. The shuttle launch was rough. The docking port already damaged by a minor collision. Holt sealed the hatch behind the last refugee and punched the thrusters. Back aboard the Resolute, the human fleet repositioned, raising shields and locking weapons onto the incoming vessels. Data streamed in rapidly. No comms, no response, no indication of intelligence. Only precise, coordinated movement. Talia stood at the bridge once more, her eyes locked on the enemy ships growing ever closer. Her expression was calm, but the tension in her stance betrayed the storm building within. She had come to help. Now she would have to fight. Admiral, Jameson said quietly, your orders? Her voice was cold steel. Raise the fleet. Prepare to engage. The void outside seemed to tense as the two forces faced off. The silence before the storm thick with implication. Whatever the hegemony was, it had already begun measuring humanity. Now it was time to answer. The first shot lit up the void. A bright lance of plasma carved through space from one of the triangular enemy vessels, searing past the hull of the Resolute and detonating against the shields of a smaller escort frigate. The impact flared across the hull like lightning trapped in a bottle, shaking the entire ship and sending warning klaxons blaring. A heartbeat later, the Resolute retaliated, railguns thundering, missile pods unleashing a storm of guided fury. The battle had begun. Admiral Reyes stood braced on the command platform, issuing orders with sharp precision. Her calm belied the storm unfolding around her. Keep formation tight. Prioritize shielded sections and coordinate missile salvos in waves. Hit them hard, hit them fast. The enemy ships moved in eerie synchronization, shifting formation with mechanical precision. They didn't return fire immediately. Instead, they scanned, adjusted, recalculated, as if assessing humanity's tactics before striking again. Talia saw it for what it was, the calm, terrifying patience of something utterly unafraid. Chun, she said, give me a read on their control systems. Any central AI? Weak spots. He shook his head. None that we can pinpoint. No EM emissions. No power cores we can isolate. They're not networked conventionally. It's like they operate from distributed logic. That's not strategy, Quan muttered from the weapon station. That's evolution. The second wave hit harder. One of the destroyers, Vigilant Dawn, took a direct blast to its aft engines. Fire bloomed across its hull before emergency dampeners kicked in. Still, the ship veered off course, bleeding heat and venting atmosphere. It was the first real wound of the engagement, and everyone on the bridge felt it. Get the Dawn clear the front, Reyes ordered. pull them back to the medical frigate, and redeploy our flanks. Keep them guessing. Chun tapped in new vector calculations, sweat slicking his brow. If they're guessing, they're doing a damn good job of faking it. Reyes turned to the viewport, watching the enemy ships twist through space like predators circling wounded prey. Her instincts screamed that this wasn't a test. It was a rehearsal. The hegemony had fought like this before. They'd studied, adapted, optimized, and now they were testing humanity the same way. Then, just as quickly as the assault began, the enemy ships broke off and retreated toward the shattered remains of a nearby planetoid. They didn't flee in panic. They repositioned methodically, pulling the battle into an environment cluttered with debris and mineral interference. A graveyard of wreckage, perfect cover. Pursue? Captain Jameson asked. Reyes didn't answer right away. Her mind was working through scenarios. Pursuit could be a trap, but hesitation would hand them the momentum. She glanced at the holographic projection of the system. The planetoid field was thick with magnetic resonance. Communication would fragment. Formation discipline would erode. Split the fleet, she said. Light cruisers and drones flushed them from the debris field. The Resolute and heavy support ships maintain outer perimeter. If they want a close-quarters brawl, we make them bleed for every meter. The order went out. Fighters launched, their engines streaking like tracer fire through the dark. Frigates and drones swarmed into debris, scanners sweeping for signs of the enemy. And for a moment, amidst a flurry of tactical execution, silence returned, brief, deceptive. Then came the ambush. Enemy vessels emerged not from the planetoid's core, but from beneath the debris field. Hidden in a hollowed-out moon fragment, they had predicted the humans' pursuit. The first strike disabled a recon drone. The second annihilated an entire patrol craft. Holt, now coordinating ground recon from the carrier Skyrend, shouted over the comms. We got incoming on all axes. They're in the field and behind it. Reyes didn't flinch. Pull back to the outer perimeter. Form a pincer. Cut off their retreat route. Ma'am, Chin said urgently, they've just dropped more units. 6? No. 7 new ships, larger than before. They weren't hiding them. They were waiting for us to commit. A grim smile touched Reyes's lips. Then they underestimated what commitment looks like. The Resolute shuddered as it redirected power to frontal shields and brought its main gun online, a massed driver cannon engineered for planetary sieges. Energy coiled along the barrel. Reyes locked eyes with the central hegemony vessel on the tactical screen. Target acquired. Quan confirmed. Fire. The shot tore through space like a divine decree, cutting a molten line across the void and smashing into the enemy vessel. Its hull fractured. No explosion, no fire, just silent disintegration, as if its systems unraveled at a molecular level. The rest of the hegemony ships paused mid-maneuver, their synchronized motion momentarily broken. That got their attention, Chin murmured, but the enemy didn't retreat. They regrouped. From the bridge of the Resolute, Reyes watched as the hegemony vessels changed tactics. No longer maneuvering for ambush or concealment, they surged forward, direct, relentless. They had tested the humans and deemed them a worthy opponent. Now they would fight to consume. New orders, Reyes said. We hold the line here. We don't fall back. We show them what Deathworlders are made of. Fighters intercepted, turrets blazed, and kinetic shields flared as both fleets collided in a maelstrom of fury. Among the chaos, Holt's voice broke through on the comms again, this time with something unexpected. Admiral, we found something. Inside one of the derelict alien ships. Black box data. A map. It's not just one fleet. It's a network. Dozens, maybe hundreds of systems. They've already spread farther than we thought. Reyes closed her eyes for the briefest moment. The implications were staggering. This wasn't a battle. It was a first step in a war. And humanity had only just arrived. The silence after the battle was not peace. It was a pause, a deep, breathless stillness that spread to the fleet like a held exhale. The hegemony vessels had retreated once more, vanishing into the debris field's outer rim, but not before leaving devastation in their wake. For ships lost, dozens crippled, hundreds dead, On the bridge of the Resolute, Admiral Reyes stared at the tactical display, the flickering map strewn with markers of damage and loss. She didn't speak for a long time. The data Holt's team had extracted still spun in the background, parsed and decrypted by AI systems faster than human thought. The results were grim. Hegemony fleets had been recorded in at least 37 known star systems. They weren't an invading force. They were already embedded, harvesting, assimilating, erasing. Jameson approached with a quiet tread. We need to alert the Core Council. This isn't just a rescue mission anymore. Reyes nodded. We're past alerts. This is a call to arms. In the med bay, Chin watched as the alien leader, whom the Marines had begun calling Rel, struggled to stand. The injuries were deep, but the alien refused sedation, insisting on remaining conscious. Its mandibles clicked softly as it studied the data feed beside its bed, analyzing the same star maps the humans now feared. Rel's voice box rasped. You understand now. They are not conquerors. They are the end. They've already taken colonies, Chin said. We just didn't see it. Disappearances. Failed outposts. It all fits. Rel touched a point on the map, a spiral arm of the galaxy near human territory. Here, a species we once knew. Gone now. No signals, no remains. The hegemony does not build empires. It empties the stars. Talia entered the medbay then, her uniform scuffed and her eyes hollow with exhaustion. She looked at Rel, then to Chun. We can't go home. Chun frowned. What do you mean? If we run now, if we retreat and let them vanish into dark again, we'll never find them all. We'll always be chasing shadows. We have a window. They expected fear. We have to answer with force. Rel's eyes shimmered faintly. You would chase them? Talia's voice was hard. We will hunt them. Back on the command deck, Reyes gathered her senior officers and hololinked the captains of the remaining fleet ships. The mood was tense, heavy with the knowledge that survival now meant escalation. The Council had yet to respond. Communications were hours delayed through relay gates, but Reyes didn't need permission to act. We set out to respond to an SOS, she began. We found survivors. Then we found a threat. Now we know the scale. And if we wait, if we retreat, we are only giving them time to grow stronger. Quan stepped forward. With respect, Admiral, our fleet's wounded. We're outgunned, outnumbered, and outflanked. Charging into the unknown might not be bravery. It might be suicide. Reyes didn't flinch. It might be, but if we don't make this stand, someone else will have to. Our children, our colonies, civilians. I won't hand this war to them. The officers exchanged looks. There was no optimism in their eyes, only resolve. I propose a deep strike, Reyes continued. We tracked the data Rel's team provided, identified the nearest systems under threat, and hit them before they fully convert. We won't win this war here, but we can stop it from reaching Earth. Holt's voice came over the comms, calm and certain. Then let's give them something to remember. By the next day, repairs were underway and supply ships rerouted. The refugee aliens were transferred to the Solace, a diplomatic cruiser en route to the inner systems. Rel remained aboard the Resolute, insisting on helping with tactical analysis. It was clear now the Death Worlders weren't just allies. They were a spear tip, a warning shot into the dark. As the fleet began to move, engines flaring against the void, Reyes stood alone in her quarters, watching the stars beyond her viewport. She thought of Earth, of the quiet oceans, the crowded cities, the billions unaware that their sky had changed. She thought of the old stories, of how humans once looked to the stars with hope. Now they would look with fury. A chime interrupted her thoughts. It was Talia. We're ready, the commander said. Reyes turned, her voice steady. Then let's show the hegemony what happens when you knock on a Death World's door. The fleet engaged FTL drive. One by one, the ships vanished into streaks of blue light, hurling themselves across the stars toward the heart of the growing darkness. War had come. Humanity did not flinch.